first in the mornings, originally from the Bayou State of Louisiana.
I say, here at Cajun Roots Reseller, you give me an offer and I'll take it.
You got the dollars? You got the dollars? See the special man on YouTube. He's got it all.
I got an offer. I got the dollars. Let me have it, please. I got the dollars.
I say. This is Johnny's, the place that'll let you have it with no problem.
Let him have it.
Johnny has a sale right now. I say. This is Johnny's place. Let him have it with no problem. See the special man.
Here at Cajun Roots Reseller, you give us the offer.
You got the dollars. You got the offer. Well, let him have it with no problem. Let him have it.
You got it.
I am looking for some jewelry. End of line.
Do you have any credit?
No, I was recently involved in a divorce. End of line. Look, I'm not one of those maybe it's Maybelline gals, okay? I just want to go out on the town with Sheila and accessorize some.
See, special man.
I don't know about you, but this dough girl is going to Johnny's place. Check out Cajun Roots Reseller. Right now. I say. Go see the special man and tell him the dough girl sent you.
Hello, good morning, and welcome on this Thursday morning. It is currently 75 degrees here in Massachusetts. We're supposed to get back in the 90s again today. Started raining already this morning. All right, let's see who was first in the chat, and that was Regina. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And Craig, wake up. Get you some coffee. Hello, good morning, and welcome. Hashtag Night Glenn and Little Debbie. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And how are you doing? And Jennifer. Hello, good morning, and welcome. Nora. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And Anna Marie. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And how are you doing? And Norma K, good to see you. No, I didn't. It just so happened that my guest for this morning, we started talking, and the time just flew by when you're having fun. So, yeah, that's why. But we're here. Jennifer, Betsy, let's see who else is here. Flip Flops and Lollipops. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And Joe, hello, good morning, and welcome. And how are you doing? Good to see you. You know, Craig, that would be a great thing if everybody that was subscribed would be here every day, all day long, every show. But that's not really going to happen. You would know that. Angela, hello, good morning, and welcome. And how are you doing? And that's Ella's information because she is our guest today. Ella's the guest. Yeah, that's right. So, you know, we got to talk, chit chat in the back room. And then all of a sudden the time's flying by and so, we got to go live. Yeah. So again, as y'all know, every Tuesday and Thursday, we started bringing on guests on the shows, talking about different ways of sourcing other than your typical, you know, garage sales, estate sales, and thrift stores and things like that, and online auctions. So every Tuesday and Thursday, we try to get a different topic coming up. And so today I was able to get, Ella saved here first, as y'all know, the little slogan, the little jingle, Ella. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And she is here. I didn't have to send her a reminder.
Let me tell you, I've been up since I set my reminder for 6:30 because I normally set my reminder for 7:30, so I have to get up for work. But then I said to myself, 6:30 will be better because I'm not gonna linger. I linger in bed still. That's why, when I do the blanket hello, I'm in bed most of the time. So I was like, I gotta set it for 6:30 because if I don't set it for 6:30, I would not be here at 8 o'clock.
And good morning, Glenn. How are you doing? And living my best life. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And how are you doing? Craig is always sleeping. I think he sleepwalks to the chat, I believe, is my opinion. So for those who are interested in thinking about getting into or have questions in reference to buying pallet mystery boxes, well, you've come to the right place today because that's going to be our topic for the day. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask away in the chat. And it's just another sourcing opportunity for you to learn a little bit about. And again, I'm trying to do that every Tuesday and Thursday to try to bring in someone with different topics. Just like this past Tuesday, if you missed it, we did vinyl records with Dawn and Mary, two hip chicks. So yeah, and then Monday, typical Monday, but Tuesday, we're going to have this coming Tuesday is going to be Tooch Man. And we're going to cover online auction companies which the one we're going to use is Max Sold, which I use a lot. So that's going to be our next Tuesday's auction talk topic. So with that being said, Ella, first of all, my first question is, how did you get into doing this type of buying, and what got you hooked on doing that?
I kind of like, I was watching pallet jacking, and I noticed him and his sister, that's their business name, pallet jacking. TJ and April. I watch them a lot on YouTube. Actually, that's how I really got involved in the reseller community. And they were doing pallet sales, and they've actually showed us how to get boxes, where to get boxes from. And, when I first of all started, I started buying mystery boxes, and they've helped the community a lot with places to go. Some people buy boxes and they keep the information to themselves, but they're willing to share. And then I noticed that, I was watching the previous, I noticed they used to buy pallets as well, and then I started watching others on YouTube, and I noticed that things that come out from the pallet and how much they say they buy the pallets for. Okay, I've been buying mystery boxes, and I think about the costs I spend buying mystery boxes. Then I thought to myself, hey, it would be nice to try out a pallet, and there was this Family Flip. I think it's Family Flip. They've been on extreme unboxing on A&E years back. And actually, that is one way I saw the A&E on the extreme unboxing. And that's how I came back into the YouTube community. Because when I had a YouTube channel, it was 2012. I just used it to advertise stuff I was selling when I had my kiosks, But I was looking for this A&E extreme unboxing, and that's how I got to the YouTube community with reseller community, I mean to say. So I watched them and I saw the unboxing they did with electronics. Now, I used to buy mystery electronic boxes, but they had the pallet, and I said to myself, wow, look at how many items in that big box. And I thought, I would love to buy that. I did the measurement, and I'm thinking, oh, that box would not fit in through my door. I was like, there's no way that box is going to fit through my door, I was thinking, how am I going to do this? And I thought, let me get in touch with a company. So I got in touch with a company where they bought the pallet from. It happened to be that they were in Florida, the company. So I wanted to know if they could break down the pallet for me. And they said, yes, we can break it down into a coffin box. So that was my first ever pallet that I got. But I never called it a real pallet because it was broken down into coffin boxes and sent to me. So I never really called it like, oh, it was like my first pallet. Now, there's this beam store myself and Giovanni goes to in Florida as well. And one day they said they were going to start selling pallets to people that are interested. So I said, okay. I went and I picked out this pallet, and then I didn't have no clue about what it was. I just thought, oh, it's a pallet. But there's different levels of pallet, I came to find out later, because when I got this pallet, I was thinking I would get little items inside this pallet, but it turned out to be big items in the pallets because I only paid $350 for it. So they were bigger items. So there's a difference between the level of pallets, which we'll get into later. But that's how I actually started, buying pallets, and I really got interested in it. So it made me investigate more to find out pallet places near me, and I did find one. And that was when I could say I really got a good pallet, because it was a Target pallet. And it was a whole lot of goodies in that pallet.
Now, Jennifer did drop the family flips. If y'all have not watched this channel, I have been watching them from the beginning when they actually started doing this in their garage, in their home.
Yeah.
They also homeschool their children, and they basically try to survive, and they have been successful with it. And I have watched them for a long time. That is a great channel to also watch when it comes to these pallet buying.
Yeah.
Besides TJ and April, the pallet jack, and Jennifer dropped that link as well. Make sure you go and subscribe to them, because there are some other great channels about this with this topic. And they go live. They do a lot of lives, and they also do a lot of unboxings. And one thing I like about it is they do tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to these different companies.
Yes.
Those are the two that I really enjoy watching. And there's another one that Robert watches that I started watching was the husband and wife team. And he first started with Funko Pops.
I know him too. Yeah. Yeah.
And now his wife has the actual they even have a website that they even put the stuff on. You know, if they can't sell it, they know they can't sell it on eBay. They put it on their own personal website.
There's fishing pole. I think it's fishing pole. There's a lady. They even had to open a store as well. I think it's a fishing pole or something. I can't remember. That's another good channel as well to watch, because they buy pallets. They buy huge pallets, you know. So I think it's probably fishing pole. And then another husband and wife one that you were talking about, where I bought the Funko Pop. That's how they started, and then they're expanding and buying. They buy a lot of coffin boxes, Amazon, and I think the latest was mail returns, package returns. Yeah.
I just can't remember their channel name, but we're watching them a lot. And that Robert on his channel, we watch a lot on the weekends. And Franchise Kicks, that's their name.
Oh, yeah.
Franchise Kicks is the channel I'm thinking of. So there's a lot of channels out there that you can be watching. But there's only a few that I guarantee you that they will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly and where to stay away from. There's some of them that will not tell you where they buy them from, because they don't want to lose their connections, so to say. So that brings me to my next question. When you do decide whether it's a new company or a company you've been dealing with, how do you determine which one you're going to stay with? And do you get to pick your own type of mystery boxes, so to say, or pallet boxes?
It just depends on, you know, when you do your research, like when I did my research and trying to find out pallets around this place. So I had to go to this warehouse, you know, and just take a look at what's around and what they have, you know. So the most important thing, first of all, to do is do your research, find out the pallet places locally to you. Okay. And then if there's none within your area, then if you're going to drive an hour out or two, like I did, then you can do that to go and find out how the place looks like, what their inventory level is, because you don't want to go somewhere where they say they have pallets, and when you go there, their warehouse or their wherever they store the pallets are just like a few pallets. You want to know how much inventory they're bringing in themselves and how that will be readily available for you, you know, because you can get, the way I sell, I can get 2 pallets and I'm done in 1 week with 2 pallets. And then I'm thinking, oh, I got to get another one. So that's another thing you got to think about. When you find a place you go, you speak to the owner. Okay. Another thing you want to make sure is, would they allow you take a look at this pallet? Some people just let you take a look at the top. They don't let you touch it. They don't let you dig into it and just see what's way down to the bottom, because most of the pallets, they put the nice stuff, the good stuff on top, and the bottom is just full of crap most of the time, you know. So you just have to make sure that you go in and take a look. And then sometimes if you're not able to go to these places, try and see if you can talk to somebody and make some good arrangement with the owner or the manager. If they have somebody managing the warehouse or the company, make sure you try and talk to them, and that way they're able to help you pick out the right pallet for you and for your business.
Yes, that magic word again. Communicate. Communication is a must.
You gotta communicate and talk to these people.
Um,
I was fortunately to go into this one warehouse where they were always, I would see the trailer outside and they're uploading the pallets, you know, and I can go in and they can tell me, oh, okay, this is the Amazon pallets, and these are the Target pallets. This is the CVS pallets. And so you can walk around and think about, okay, which one do you want? Do you want an Amazon? There's different levels of Amazon pallets and different prices as well. And then you can choose which of these pallets you think will be profitable for you.
All right. Little Debbie has a question. So when you order a pallet, how long till it's delivered, or do you have to go and pick it up?
Okay. So they're various ones.
Great.
And I'll talk about me going to pick up on me having them to deliver. So the first one, if you leave the question up there, because I seem to talk sometimes straight away, and if I don't see
I was trying to start some more questions, but let me go back to it.
Yeah, so I can.
That's right. I'll go back to it because I've been keeping them started.
57, you know. I can forget what the question is.
Well, I'm 58 and I'm still doing good at this. Come on, guys. Don't use that age as an excuse.
Okay. So when you order, how long will it take to deliver? Now, if you're going to order from a company, that's what we're talking about. Communication is key. Okay. You're going to have to talk to the person. If I order the pallet today, how is it going to get delivered? Now, most companies register, they don't have their own delivery service. So if they have their own delivery service where they have their own truck and they can deliver, you can make arrangement with them and tell them when you want the pallets delivered. I used to do that. And I say, I want the pallet delivered on Monday. I'm buying the pallet, like maybe he says, oh, the pallet's going to come in on Friday, or the pallets are going to come in on Thursday. So I make arrangement. I say, can I have them deliver on Monday morning? And that's the arrangement I make with the owner. Now, if I am ordering the pallet online from a company that uses a freight company to deliver, now you have to negotiate with them when you want the pallets delivered. Some of them will tell you they have a window of delivery between Tuesday and Friday, and they will give you a time between if you're in a residential area, there's a time they can deliver than if you are in a business area. So that's another thing you want to talk to them about, is when, and if you are available to go pick it up, that means you have your truck to go pick it up. That's the same thing. You want to make sure you let them know that you're coming and when you're going to be there to pick it up, so they can wrap up the pallets for you. Like the last few weeks, I've had Giovanni go to the pallet place to pick it up for me. So I called the manager and I said, look, they're 3 minutes out. I want to make sure you get this pallet wrapped up and they're ready to put on the truck when they leave, when they get there. You know, so it's the arrangement. Now, there is, when you're using freight company, if they're coming from a further place from where you are and not in the same city or the same state as you are in, which has happened to me, I ordered the pallet and they were further away, even though they were in Florida. The freight company they use took the pallet all the way to Georgia and way back to me. And I was like, why didn't they come down to me first? So it took a couple of days. The day I was supposed to get the pallet, I didn't get it. So it came to me like in maybe 3-4 days later. So you can get that. Now it doesn't have anything to do with the owner of the pallet company. It's the freight company they use. So your pallet might be put in way inside and then other items in the front, because they made it where they're going through their routes to deliver those. So if you're in a residential area, your pallet might be the last pallet they will drop because they're going to other business places to drop those pallets. Now, if you're ordering further away, like I did order pallets from California, it took me almost 2 weeks to get my pallet. So it just varies.
All right. So the next question is, what if you're not happy with the pallet? Can you return it or get a refund?
No, because you're buying blindly. It's a mystery. So if you know you're not happy with the pallet, you can't return it, because don't forget, a lot of the companies, when they get the pallet, they're not they're just selling it as they get it from wherever they're getting their pallets from. Okay. So no, they're not gonna take a refund back. Now, that's happened to me, but I can't return it. I can complain about it, and the company will say, or the manager or whoever owns it will tell you, okay, I'm so sorry, but that's how all the pallets come. We'll give you a discount on your next purchase. Some will give you a discount. Some will give you like my first one I bought. I told the guy I wanted the same pallet that the family flip got, which was electronics. When he broke it down and put them in coffin box, when I received it, it was full of dollar items. I was pissed to the core. And I told him, I said, you're supposed to be my representative. He said, I'm so sorry. I wasn't there when they were packing up the pallets. So what he did, he sent me another coffin box, and it had some really good items in there, you know. So some people will give you a discount. They will, you know, replace it, you know, but you can't refund. They will not refund or, you know, give you your money back, or, you know, take the pallet back. A lot of them would not do that at all. And I've never heard anybody doing that.
And just remember too, like if you're going to like Amazon or USPS non-returned type packages, and you're going in there and you're purchasing these type of packages, usually it's a box. Usually they'll tell you you're bidding on the possibility of getting at least 8 packages for X amount of dollars. Whatever you pay for, especially with these mystery packages that are undelivered or returned, you're taking a chance on that, because you don't know if someone took an item, purchased it, and then put an older item back in and then sent it back. Because I've been seeing a lot of that on these videos where people are returning stuff that is older than what, and it doesn't even belong in that package.
Yeah, I've had
those
that.
are the bigger risk you're taking. Whereas with these pallets, 9 times out of 10, if I remember correctly, Ella, these are more like pulled items off of shelves, like from Target and Walmart and things like that.
They're different levels of it. You can have, it doesn't really, you know what? That's why some people like me, I like the Target pallet, because you will hardly get most of that junk from the Target pallet. But the Target pallets become so expensive now.
Yeah.
You know, because Target pallets, you get mostly shelf pull from the Target pallet. Now with Amazon, and stay away from Walmart pallets. Even I have gone to a pallet warehouse, and the owner, I was looking at it and it was like, oh, what's that pallet there? He said, no, you don't want it. I was like, why? He said, that's a Walmart pallet. You don't want
warning.
Yes, don't buy a Walmart pallet. Some people don't buy it. It's crap. It's full of return. I'm telling you, I've seen unboxing from Walmart pallets. I've seen a microwave, food bust up in there, dry up in there, put it in a box and return it to Walmart, being unboxed, you know, smells like, you know, nothing you can think about in that when they were unboxing it. So stay away from Walmart pallet. Now, Amazon, they don't really check their items. So I have got a brand new shaver kit, brand new. The box, you don't think it was open, but you know, your instinct, sometimes when you're dealing with electronics, you have to open it and test it. So I took this thing apart, and I was like, I was like, this is so brand new. But I said, you know what? I'm going to still try and open it. I opened it, pull this thing out. It was a different brand name in a different box. And guess what? It looked like, you can tell because all the letters written on the item has been almost wiped off. You can hardly read it, meaning they've held it so many times, you know. And that thing, it had some hair on it. Lord have mercy. I was putting it through the water to rinse it. The hair just kept coming out and coming out of it. And I was like, wow, you can't go back and return those type of items. You know what you are buying. Amazon returns, you will get a lot. You will get broken stuff. You will get incomplete stuff in the box. So many things that you cannot return it. You can ask for your money back. So that's what, even though you go to the bin store and buy those things, bin store, when you go to the bin store, they tell you when you come on the day they're selling $15 item, $12 item days, you're allowed to come up and probably open 3 packages. Okay, you can't go up all the time and let them open all the packages for you to take a look if you want it or not. So that's the risk you are taking when you buy those items from the bin store, or if you buy it and it comes in a pallet.
So my next question, I'm tying it in with Craig because that was going to be my next question. But Craig and Ryan was talking about this and wanted to know, manifest or not, does every pallet that you purchase, when it comes to these pallets, not the coffin boxes or anything like that, do you have to have, or do they have to have a manifest, or do you have to request it? And if there is a charge for that, which comes right here with Randy also said the pallet sounds like it's more of a high risk venture, and it is, but it depends on where you're getting it from. If it's returns, then yeah, then you're taking a bigger risk on those.
Yes. And so back to
the manifest or not.
The manifests are the most expensive. Even if you go online and they show you the manifested could be, and why they're most expensive, it could be because those are shelf pull. Okay. They're brand new, never been used at all. So they're shelf pull. Now, when you go to, like, for instance, A8 Lot sells mystery boxes, and they also sell by the truckload, you know. Now, when you buy from them, they're manifested. So you can see the items. So everything is in there. And then they are expensive with the manifested because they're shelf pull. Now, the ones that are not, they will say, forgot the language they use for those ones. Some of them use the same language for the term they use for those. Oh gosh, it will come to me. It's at the top of my tip, but I just like misplaced it. So yes, the manifested is different, and the manifested are most expensive, you know. So you might like the manifested, but you're gonna have to pay for it. And if you're gonna be paying up for it, then you don't want to be doing the kind of auction that I'm doing, which is, you know, because I try to give reasonable prices. Most of the time when you get those manifested items, you want to list those items on eBay. Like, I got a Harley Davidson and parts. I don't even know what I've had car parts and all this kind of stuff parts. And I brought some to auction and I just let go because I don't have a clue of that. And I don't list on eBay, you know. And I opened a box yesterday when I was coming to start your show. And then I opened a brown box and I opened it and I said, what is this? It is a Harley Davidson part that I don't even know where it goes to, you know. And I've had a Harley Davidson before. So yeah, it's good to get a manifested palette because you know what's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then when you don't get a manifested palette, you're just taking the risk that you might get some shelf pull, a lot of returns in the palette. Yes.
And like Michael said, you get a lot of iPhones, open lids, Nokia phones, just nature of the beast. And that's right.
Yes.
The returns are a bigger risk. You're right.
Yeah. And there's a difference between the pallets. You've got when you come to Amazon pallets, there are the small pallets, they're the high piece count pallets, and they're the medium-sized pallets. Now, people think pallets are cheap. They're like, oh yeah, pallets are cheap. There's one for $250. There's one for $300. Those are called the medium-sized Amazon pallets, where you can get like 20 items in the pallet. Or sometimes you can get up to 30 items in the pallet. There are big items. Now, when I want to buy a pallet, I always say when I call them up, or if I'm searching, I want the high piece count pallets. The high piece count pallets, you can have up to 200 units in the pallet. It could be between 150, 200, 300, sometimes 400 units in the pallet. And then you might come across the iPhone cases and masks and stuff like that. When the higher it goes, because people just want to get rid of those things.
Right. And then of course Ryan says you can get pallets that are just shelf poles too. Target can be good for one like that. And I know you've done some Target pallets before.
Oh yeah, my last pallet I got my last pallet was a Target pallet and an Amazon pallet that I got.
All right. And Land Shark Picker Craig wants to know how many items in a pallet percentage-wise are unsellable.
Ooh.
And Ryan replies that at least 25% of unsellable are junkish.
Yes. you can actually get up to that percentage. And then when you get it, now you want to think about, as soon as you're pulling, that's what I do. As soon as I'm pulling the stuff out of the pallets and I'm moving them and putting them in different areas, like when I get the big boxes and the stuff, I know where to put those. And then when I get the smaller items, I put them in boxes. I just shove them in the boxes because I just know that, oh yes, junk, I'm getting junk, and I'm getting some, and then I sort through them later on when I'm doing auction. And then to make up, in order for me to say, okay, I got 25% that are junk, I like, okay, you know what? Some of the stuff I won't be able to fix it. So I donate it, because there's people that will fix those things. So I donate a lot of those stuff, and then now you're thinking in your head, how much percentage of you has gone out the door that is trash? How are you going to relate those? How are you going to get the money back for those? Now you're going to refer to your bigger items that you got. So if you got your bigger items and you're going to think, okay, they're $100 to sell that. If you were going to do 50%, now you're going to say, I can't sell it for 50% now. I have to go up a little bit higher, because you want to make money for the trash you've just thrown away. Because guess what? You paid for those trash that came in your pallet.
Little Debbie says, so most of us are resellers, and the investment on a pallet probably better if manifested. Yeah.
Manifested, like I say, you gotta have to pay up for that. When you pay up for manifested, you don't want to be coming when I sell, to be selling. If you gotta have to think about, when I get a manifested pallet, which I never have bought a manifested pallet, because I know if I do, I will go broke. I wouldn't make money back from it. So when I get like a manifested from A8 lot, that's 4 boxes they come in, and that will be like 100. I try to target like 100 units. That's 100 items in it. You might get some dollar items, but you might get some high piece count items as well in an A8 lot. So they split it with 4 boxes, because you're getting over 100 stuff unit for it. Now you got to think of how much you're paying for those. And then when I think about how much I'm paying, and I do the research and find out how much it costs on Amazon, or if Walmart has it, how much it costs, now it determines how much I'm going to sell it when I bring it to you guys to sell it. Now, if I just feel that there's no way they're going to pay that amount, I'll just go list it on Poshmark or go list it on Mercari. Mostly I list most of my stuff on Mercari, because I know I'm going to get close to that, even though if I'm going to give somebody a discount, it will be a small percentage that I will give them.
All right, so here's a good question. Can anyone get a pallet, or do you need a business to get one? Or
Anybody can get a pallet, but it would be best if you have a business license. If you have a business license, then you don't have to pay taxes on it. Okay. But if you go to a place that don't ask for your business license, they will charge you tax. They will charge you tax for it. So yes, some companies will definitely ask you for a business license, but not
anyone
every.
can get a pallet, but certain places require that to be a business. The places sometimes have better pallets, but not always.
Yeah.
Randy says that doing my luck for a pallet when it'd be pouring raining when they deliver it. You've had that happen a lot.
I've had that happen. I've had that happen. You just have to pray. There's when
Yeah.
we, I needed the pallet because I needed to sell stuff. And, twice the pallet has come and it's been dark. And I was like, Lord, just hold it. I know you can do it. Please do it for me. And he's done it. And as soon as the last thing I put in the house,
There comes the rain.
the heavens open.
Here comes the rain again. Randy has a question also about are pallets all just hard goods or clothing, or can it also get jewelry pallets?
Yes. There's jewelry pallets. I've actually inquired about jewelry pallets, but they're very expensive. And while Giovanni was in this place trying to get me my pallets, as they were trying to get it ready, I asked him, I said, ask the lady if she has jewelry pallets. Took me over to where the pallets were for the jewelry. But the thing she wanted me to know also is that they were expensive. And when it says a pallet, it wasn't mainly a pallet. They call it a pallet. It was just a big box that it was in, but they called it a pallet. But guess what? She told me that not all the pieces will be there. So if you're and she was gonna charge me 1,100, I think, if I'm not mistaken, for the jewelry pallet. So you don't want to buy a jewelry pallet because you might get one earring, and nearly all of them. So how much money could you really make from it? So that's the thing. And when you're gonna be getting Macy's. So that's why I think they were Macy's. So that's why the pallet was expensive. Now, people break the jewelry down in boxes. Even I remember there's a 251 box. There's 150. They do it by the box, small box. And I remember the company that I buy pallets from. I was like, so how much is your Amazon jewelry pallet or your Kohl's? I like when you communicate with them and then try to be honest with you. I have to tell you it's not worth it. So if you're buying, they're gonna sell at your own risk, but it just depends how close you are, how you communicate. Some of them will be so truthful to you. They will tell you, no, it's not worth buying. Like I was told, buying jewelry box from this company, whether it's Amazon, is not worth it. I think if you buy the Kohl's, it's much better. So that's
All right, Randy has another statement here. Ella, you have a large custom base. Is there a minimum number of customers to have before considering pallets?
Not really. Not really. And your customer base will grow the more you advertise, or the more somebody you say, hey, where did you get this from? Oh, I got this from word of mouth and advertising. Before I even started buying pallets, I was always, Johnny will tell you, he probably saw me so many times on his page. I'm having an auction, I'm doing an unboxing. I will post it. I will post on Instagram. I will post Facebook, all the groups. I was in all the groups. I don't really have time to do that as much now, because, your base grows, like you say, and it's been growing. So people come, you go to other channels, you build word of mouth advertising, like I say, so people will come. So yeah, so it doesn't really matter. You can start off buying a pallet that's inventory that you have. It would never run out. Whether you have 10 people in your chat, at least you have stuff to show people. Now, like me, where sometimes I can have over 60 people in my chat, I run out of things to sell. Like I run out right now. It's not like I don't have inventory, but sometimes I'm like, I get tired of showing the same thing all the time. And then I want to get rid. I've been on Giovanni for the last couple of days. I said, you got to find this pallet place. I was on him last night. I was like, hey, when are you going to the pallet place? He said, oh, there's one I'm going to go check in Miami. So I'll go there on Friday, because it doesn't really matter how many people you have in your chat. You just want to make sure you get inventory and keep selling. If you want to list, just keep listing too.
I have a public service announcement. Auntie Mama's husband, Uncle Daddy, is now home and recovering from his surgery back home.
Nice.
So congratulations, and thank God he's back home. And Randy wants to know, can you define what you think of as expensive? Define expensive when it comes to the jewelry palettes and stuff.
Well, if you're saying when it's expensive, if you are buying a jewelry box, if you're gonna spend $1,000 to buy a box of jewelry, you want to make sure that's expensive. For me, that's expensive because I don't know if I'm gonna make my money back.
Yeah.
Now, but if I buy a pallet of like home goods and I see, and there's expensive items in there, that's expensive. Now, like I said, I open a box, it's got a Harley Davidson part in it. We know that's going to be expensive. Now, if I bring it to the chat and I want to sell it to you guys for cheap because I don't want nothing to do with it, I will sell it for cheap. And it's an expensive item, all because I don't have the time to list. And you people know me. I've sold expensive stuff for so cheap because I just want you guys to have it. And I was like, I've already made my money back and I'm making profit. So it's like, I'll let it go, so somebody else can go make extra money on that other item. So that's, what I mean by, yes, it's expensive,
Michael says Ella is all over YouTube when she can. LOL.
What do you mean? I'm all over YouTube.
Now, I do have to mention this too, because I saw that Deborah came in with a question or a statement. One of the things you have to remember, even though you have your set price that you're buying these pallets for, you have to consider what is going to be your shipping cost. Yes. That is part of that cost that's going to eat up in your profits if it's going to cost you a lot. As Deborah just made a comment right here, for pallets, the shipping can be so high that you will have to add that into your cost.
All right. Yeah, let me break that one down for you. Now, for a first-time buyer, this is what you're going to consider. I got this written down because, sometimes my thoughts travel a lot. Now, you have to think about where you're picking the pallet up. Are you picking it up yourself? That's if you're getting it from a local store. If you're not and you're getting it further away, you have to think about the shipping costs. Now, when I have pallets shipped to me, I paid over $300 to get the pallet shipped to me. Now, the pallet could cost me anywhere between $7 something and almost close to $1,000. Like I bought the Target pallet that cost me $1,000 plus. Now, then I have to think about the shipping costs when they're going to ship it to me. You're going to add that shipping cost into it. That's a fee. So then now when you add it, it doesn't mean that you're going to say, oh, I bought a pallet for $650. I made my $650 profit back. But you just lost $375 that, you paid to get it shipped to you. So you're going to have to add that. That is a cost. So when I total my pallet, when I say I bought a pallet, I add the shipping cost to it. And even when I've had Giovanni and his friend help me, the guy was like, I said, okay, so how much you want me to give you for helping me? He said $20. I said, what do you mean $20? So I know what I paid him. But guess what? I add that to my costs. So when I'm selling you guys something, I know that my cost, everything is in it because I want to make sure I make that back. So you have to think about the cost per shipping, your shipping fee. Okay, so this is it. First time buyer. A local pallet store, you got to find that out. The cost per the item, you got to have to find out the cost by item. Now, a lot of people, when you watch the unboxing, they're going to tell you what the cost of the item is. Okay. And they put it there, the cost of the item. Now, cost per shipping, the shipping fee. You got to know that. You got to know the condition of the item. Knowing the condition of the item now is going to tell you how much you're going to want to sell it for. Now, you've seen me, like, I will show an item, and the item, maybe the box is damaged or something happened to it. And if I was going to sell it for $15, I was like, you know what? I'll sell it to you for 10, because the box didn't come in a really good condition. So I might reduce it for you, because then I'm thinking you probably want to gift the item to somebody, but you don't want to go pay the store price. You want a cheaper price. So it's a gift. So I will give it to you cheaper. And then when you get it, you know how you're going to present it, if you're going to give it as a gift or something like that. So you're going to have to think about your cost price as well, knowing the condition of the item. Another thing, when you're going to get a pallet, you want to know before you buy the pallet, where are you going to put the items? I bought 3 pallets, and I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. And the first time I bought the 3 pallets, I bought 1 pallet. It's been okay. And I moved to 2, and I was a bit okay. But when I thought the holiday was coming, I want to get a 3rd pallet. I bought 3 pallets one time. Everything was in my living room. I was stepping over stuff. I was panicking. But I'm a good organizer, so I was able to organize 3 pallets. Let me tell you, I got a Gaylord. A Gaylord pallet could be up to 7 foot tall, with items in it, from clothing to household items to electronics, whatever you can think was in the pallet. But I was able to store them away, put them in boxes, put them, all the boxes on top of each other, got my shelf full, arranged them. So you want to think about that when you are getting a pallet. The type of pallets you want to get. There's different type of pallets. There's the high piece count pallets, which could be smaller items to medium items in the pallet. That's what I talked about earlier. They're about maybe 200 to 300 units in the pallets. You want to think about that when you ask for high piece count pallets. The smaller items, you can be selling for days with those items. Or if you want to do a bin store kind of things. Now there's Amazon medium. Amazon medium costs less. You can get like $250 to $300 for those type of pallets. They're less than 30 items in those type of pallets. Okay, and they're mostly big items. And finally, when you get items electronic, you gotta test, and test. So that's my advice for first-time buyers that wants to buy a pallet.
And one of the things too with electronics, and again, I'm learning a lot of this from watching other YouTube channels. Franchise Kicks, for example, they get a lot of like the iPods or earbuds, and they get a lot of razors. They're supposed to be new, and they look them up, and then they got hair in it. So they actually go through the sterilization steps to cleaning all this. And so this portion I'm going to say goes along with what Randy was saying, as far as, you got to basically, it's a lot of the work and process that you're going to go through that to make sure that's part of your price you want to sell it for. Because you got to remember, you got to put all that as your time is worth something.
Everything is worth something. Yeah.
So you got to be able to look at all that too. But remember, because a lot of these channels don't tell you, oh, I paid $380. Okay, well, how much did you pay on your shipping? Because then you got to add that to your cost, because that's going to be your cost of goods.
Yeah.
Before you determine, and how many pieces did you get in that box or that pallet. So those are the kind of things you have to think about. Is it going to be worth your time? Or are you going to recoup your money and make a profit?
And make it back. Yes, that's the thing. And it's like, I'm so like used to it right now. So everything is like in my brain. Before, when I started getting pallet, I had my notebook. I will write down how much it costs for the pallet and how much it costs for shipping. And then every item I was selling back then, I would still write it down, how much and then I I always tell you people, write stuff down. I got my notepad. Every time I sell something, I write it down. And then I'm saying, okay, now I sold this out of the pallet. So at the end of the week, I told her everything that I've sold at the end of the week. And if I have made anywhere like $1,300 to $1,400, that is how much for the week is paid for my pallet and my shipping. One pallet and one shipping. That's just it. Now the following week, if I make that same amount, that is taking care of my profit, my time that I put in it, testing. I'm telling you, me and myself and Pikiniki, when we talk about we don't sleep, we hardly sleep, because we're texting to them to like 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, because that's how the time we put in our business. And people think it's easy. It is not easy. And I've known people, even in the reseller community, that have tried this. They think, oh, it's easy to sell. They've tried it, and then they fall off because of the shipping costs and everything they have to do to get it. It's your time. After my auction ends on Friday, I am up till 4 o'clock in the morning because I have to pack all this thing up. Your shipping supplies. So all that is cost. You got to buy boxes. You got to buy you got to buy stickers, thank you cards, business cards, paper, wrapping paper, bubbling. All those are costs that you have to add up. So yeah, if you're doing this for fun, then yeah, you probably have your retirement money coming in. You have some other money coming in. So you're okay. You're doing it, and then it's a hobby. For a lot of us like me, it's my business. That's how I pay my rent. That's how I pay my bills. So to me, it's a real business, and I take it seriously.
I cannot agree with that statement so much. It's not easy, but most of the yep, and it's a lot of work into it. But also, one of the things you have to remember too, it's not only being organized, but you have to keep some kind of paper trail, or some kind of bookkeeping to let you know, okay, if I'm getting this amount of money spending on these, and then how much am I selling these for? Am I making enough to be able to do it again? Are you able to make that profit? Are you able to make that money that you've spent plus a profit to be able to buy another pallet? So you got to keep all that in mind too.
Got to keep in mind. Keep your receipts. Keep your receipts.
And that's right. And Ella's doing this all by herself.
Yeah, I'm doing it all myself. This is like this is my pallet. This one is pallet. Hold on, let me see if this is it. This is East Coast liquidation I bought from pallets of goods. See the cost of goods, $800. Look at the freight, $385. So that is what it cost me for one pallet. That's not two. That's what it cost me for one pallet. So you got to keep your paperwork, because you're gonna need it when tax time comes.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to bring these different topics, because a lot of people, I see so many videos and so many different resellers doing this type of work, but they're not telling you all the back rooms of what's going on when you buy these pallets. They're not adding the freight cost. They're not adding all of that time they spend into getting these things ready, whether it's an online auction, whatnot auction, or just to resell on a platform. Yeah. All this is included. So that's why I wanted the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, we're not telling you not to go buy them, but if you've never done them before, start small.
Start small.
This whole thing's about.
Yeah. And there's companies where, you know what, there are companies that will buy, like, for instance, A8 lot, but you have to have a reseller certificate for A8 lot. Now, A8 lot breaks their pallets down into boxes, which is good for you. When I started expanding, I went from buying one mystery box here, one mystery box there, and then I found out about A8 lot. So I tried them, and they were everything. It was 100 and something units broken down into 4 boxes. It was easy for me to manage, even when I remember I was live one day. I got delivered the 4 boxes. I had a panic attack right there. I had a full-on panic attack. Okay. Because I was thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with these? How am I going to go about them? I wasn't really ready. I I wasn't ready, and I was having a panic attack from it. It took me 6 months for me to open those boxes because I was used to having just one box, but now I'm having pallets coming. So I my panic attack ran. I'm like, I'm not settling with you. Ran away. I'm like, yeah, good. I don't need you right now, because I got to do pallets.
I want you to break down a little bit for those that have never done this before. What is the difference between a regular size box, pallet, mystery box, a coffin box? Because I already know the difference of these. And what's the difference between a regular pallet and a Gaylord pallet?
Now, the boxes could come in different sizes. Okay. Now, you've heard about Amazon boxes. Amazon boxes. I've got an Amazon box here. Let me get up a little bit and I'll show you Amazon box.
It's frankly almost the size of a coffin. That's why they call them a coffin box.
Sizes of Amazon boxes.
But they're big boxes. Ella, you got some comments in the chat from Ryan. Says, I appreciate the insight, Ella. Thank you. Heather says, you are amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
And Randy says, just to get yourself in the door, then the time to process, shipping supplies, invoicing fees, etc. Time to wrap, time to invoice. That's all in back in. And no wonder Ella isn't want any drama. Poor girl gets no sleep. She's worn out.
No one, no drama. This is an Amazon box.
Yep, that's a big one.
Amazon box. Okay, when you go to most pallet places, they have Amazon boxes like this. It can come in 12, 24, and 36. They refer to these ones as pallets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, when they refer to these ones as pallets, they're going to tell you some places will sell this for $50. So times how many is on that pallet that you buy. Now, if they're going to sell this individually, some of them are selling it for $45, $50. It just varies. So this is the Amazon box that comes from, if you're buying a pallet, if you go to a pallet place, this is what it will look like. A lot of them will be much bigger. Those are the coffin boxes. They're a little bit longer. So I would say maybe another of this will be longer.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the Amazon box. That's how that will come in, And in those boxes like that, you will have maybe 15 to 20 items in the box. 15 to 20 items in the box. Now you got to be careful. When you go to some of these pallet places, a lot of the time they've opened and tampered with the boxes. Now, when you get this they tell you it came direct from Amazon. Amazon put their tape on it. Once their tape has been broken, you buy it and you notice the tape has been broken. That means them in the warehouse opened it to see what's in the box, and they likely will take the expensive stuff out of the box and replace them. I've gone through that and I bought some, and you don't know because they don't let you see nothing. They pile it on top and then they open the first 4 boxes for you to take a look and say, oh yeah, this is how the box is going to be. So you're going to see all this nice stuff on top of the boxes. And then by the time you pay it and then you take the stuff out to the truck and you load it, when you get home and you open it, you find out that as you're going through all the boxes, they've been tampered all the way through. And then you open it, you get some that are 20 items, 10 items, 15 items, and less. So if you're going to be buying, that's why a lot of people don't want you to take a look. Now, when you go to them and you ask them, have these been tampered with? And they will tell you, no, it hasn't been tampered with. It still has the Amazon tape on it. Okay. And then you find out you will get a lot of nice items in that. I've even because some places don't want to ship. That's another thing you got to think about. Depend on where you are. Unfortunately, I'm in Florida. So a lot of the pallet companies here, liquidation companies, closed down. There's not a lot of them. So it's been hard for me to get pallets now. And I have to go further out to see what I can get. which will cost me more in shipping, because of that. So when you are getting these Amazon mystery boxes, just know if you feel there's a tape on top of it, on top of the Amazon tape, that box has been already opened and picked through.
Okay, so we're going to another question now. Randy would like to know, are the boxes sold with a guaranteed number of pieces, or is it by weight?
No, a lot of them, some of them are. Some of them will tell you the weight of it, and some of them will tell you the pieces, number of pieces are in the box if you're buying per box. When you go to a lot of these, or if you go on YouTube and you type the company's name in, the liquidation company's name or any liquidation company, and it comes up and you watch their video, a lot of them will show you the manifested, or I won't call it manifested. They will tell you the weight of the pallet. They will tell you the number of items. If they know, they will write it on the paper. So when they're showing it, they will show you the paper on front of it, which will tell you how many boxes are there, the weight of the box. Because sometimes if you're going to get it picked up or shipping, they're going to have to tell you the weight, and that will determine how much the freight company is going to charge you.
So my next question, for anyone who has never done this before and are interested in getting into pallet buying or mystery boxes, how would one not only research in their area, but how important is it? Is there any of these platforms that they can go to or companies that can go to where you can get feedback from any one of these different companies?
Well, there's so many companies that you can check them up. My advice will be, one, if you find out the name of these companies, do a search on YouTube to see if anybody has done a review on these places where you buy from. You want to make sure you check those out first. Type it in, see if there's reviews of these companies. Because if there are good reviews from these companies, then yes, try and get in touch with the company. And if they're bad reviews, kind of just stay away. If you don't see any latest reviews on the company, go to their YouTube page and see if anybody's said anything, if they allow people to post comments, because some companies don't allow you post comments on there, and if they don't allow you, beware of those companies, because if people comment and then they delete it, that means they don't want you to know the bad of how bad they've been doing. Now, there's different companies, but the main one people go to if you're starting is liquidation.com. Now, if you go to liquidation.com, there's so many things you got to be aware of if you're going to those. There are bidding companies. You are bidding for the pallet. Okay. So when you go to liquidation.com and trying to look up different pallets and where they are, they put the states. There could be some closer to you, there's some further away, then they will put the shipping costs. That's not the final shipping cost, because there's fees added to those costs as well. So those you got to think about when you are looking them up. So for me, do a research on these companies before you decide to just go direct to them to buy from these companies. You got to do your research.
So I'm going to do my last question because it's getting to that time where I don't want to take too much time of Ella's time. But again, I want to make sure that you understand there is a lot of good and bad in all this. So what I want you to do, Ella, at this point, because I know the story, but you don't have to go into all the details. What is the best experience you had compared to the worst experience you had?
Ooh, the best experience I've had is just getting great pallets. Not all the time you come across a pallet that you get and we're like, ooh, nice, And the worst experience I've had is when I got duped. It's business. It will happen and it might never happen. It might happen with somebody that you really know that you've been buying from, and it might happen with a company that you don't know. You just all got to be careful, but at the end of the day, it's just business. My good experience is when I first of all got my first Target pallet, I was so excited because there was so much lovely stuff good stuff in that pallet. I made so much money from my first Target pallet. I was like, what? I was
You
dripping.
have to go watch her video. You could not express, you could just by hearing her scream and yell and excitement of her first Target pallet. You'll have to go watch that video. I'm telling you. I don't know if I can tell the excitement in her voice when she was undoing the pallet.
Oh my
At the
goodness.
location.
I got the pallet that saw the Xbox on it, first of all. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, Xbox? I couldn't believe I got an Xbox. You know, the guy.
That's why she got hooked.
Yeah, I got, ooh. And then I got this expensive watch in it. Everything was so, I mean, and I only paid, I think I only paid $600. That was when stuff was cheap. That was like 2 years ago. Now
Yeah.
a Target pallet costs over $1,000. I think I
Yeah.
paid $650 for that pallet. You know, that's what I paid. And it was, oh my goodness, I couldn't wait to come back and buy another Target pallet. The Target pallet was full of cosmetics. That's when I started selling cosmetics. Because when I first of all got it, I was saying, you know what, this is not me. Giovanni, come and pick up this. Come and pick up these makeup stuff. Come pick up all these.
He refused to do anything with health and beauty.
Anything with health and beauty, I didn't want it. I was a man's man kind of gadget kind of person. That's the kind of person I am. I was like, come pick this thing up. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a makeup auction. And I had a makeup auction. Oh my goodness. I got hooked because I sold the makeup. I was like, okay, makeup. So I started buying makeup, you know. And same thing like HBA. When I see Victoria selling it, I used to give Victoria props. And I was like, I don't think I'll be able to do it. And then one day I ordered a pallet. It was full of these. I'm like, what? But I sell it. Now I don't turn away from anything. Now the worst part of it for me,
Ella sold it with no problem.
no problem. Yes. Now I can't wait to get the stuff. And then the worst part was last year, December. I wanted to get, and this is a thing you got to be careful. Because I've been buying from this guy pallet for 2 years. I've been buying from him all the time. He's delivered to me. When he couldn't get his freight people to deliver, he will deliver the pallets to me. And I bought a pallet. I've told this story many times. And I said, hey, I need pallet. December, Christmas is coming soon. I need to get 3 pallets. He said, well, I don't have pallets coming in right now, but I know a place where I can get a pallet, but you got to pay right now. He's never, that was a thing that should have been a red flag for me, but he never did because I trusted him so much. I've been buying from him for 2 years. So that flag did not go up. That should have been the sign. Because every time I did buy from him, because he was local, it took about an hour, 30 minutes to get to me or me to go to his place. You know what? When I asked him, hey, do you have a pallet? He would say, yeah, I have a pallet coming in. I will pay a deposit. I said, okay, I'll pay you a deposit. Once the pallet get in, I'll pay. And that's how it's always been. And then this time he said to me, oh, you got to pay all the, I said, yeah. Okay, how much? Told him, and I paid. $2,000 paid. He told me the pallet was going to be in on the 11th. I ordered this pallet on the 4th. The 11th came. He didn't respond to me. And I was like, where's the pallet? Oh, I don't know. There's a delay. Okay. I said, you know, we're getting so close to Christmas. Getting so close. The following week, where's the pallet? He kept leading me on and on and on. And then I found out he was selling everything in his warehouse. And I said, hey, I noticed you post on Facebook, you're selling stuff. He said, oh, no, I'm just selling the retail side. We're still doing wholesale. That guy didn't only dupe me, he duped all the other sellers and took money. Come to find out that he was in trouble financially. We had a breach of contract with a company that sued him. So he took money from all of us to get out of a jam, sold everything that was in that warehouse. Okay. So up to today, I didn't see 3 pallets, nor did I see my $2,000. So when I found another place I was buying pallets, the lady was like, oh, yeah. I said, you know what? I'll pay you a deposit. And once my people get there to pick up the pallets, Once they tell me they're there, I will pay the balance. So now that's what I do. I don't go outright and pay everybody like that. Unless I know that I can come to you and get my money from you, I will do that.
Right.
So you got to be careful. And it's people that are going to dupe you. They're going to send you crap in pallets. There's nothing you could do. It's all a write-off. So I had to write, when I did my taxes, I had to write that $2,000 off. I had to put it in my taxes because I did pay for it. I got a receipt to show that I paid for it, but I wasn't able to get my money back. Even the bank refunded me the money and put it on hold for them to investigate. But at the end of the day, they took the money back out because they said, I paid for the pallet. It is a pallet, so I have to go back to the guy. But the guy was saying, I'm sorry, he's giving me excuses and everything. So I said, you know what? Go with God. That's all I could say. Go with God. If you got a conscience.
I still want to know to find that guy. And then Randy wants to know, did you prosecute him?
No. I leave it in God's hand. I just, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes in business, it is what you can do. You're going to pay more money. Even when I decided I was going to take him to court, and I thought, I paid him $2,000. You know how much it's going to cost me for lawyers' fees and all those other things? And I might even take him to small claims court. It's not a guarantee I might get my money even after I take him to small claims court.
That's right. That's right.
So what's the best thing for me to do? I prayed about it. And I just told him, I said, you know what? I pray you have a good life with people that you duped. I said, I've known you for this long. You were in trouble. You could have told us you were in trouble, but you took our money in order for you, So it's like, how could you sleep at night? According to the commercial, well, they went to mattress, whatever, to get a mattress so they can sleep well. So, yeah, they can sleep. But guess what? If they don't repent of what he's done, if he doesn't repent, the Lord will continue to let him know what he did was wrong. He was, so
So the whole thing about this is I didn't want to get into all the details, but
it's good for them it can happen. Yes,
You've
because
got
it could
to know
happen
that things like this can happen. So you need to be on your guard. Yeah. Like in this case, Ella said that it should have been a red flag because she paid it. He wanted it now all at once.
Yeah.
But and then she wouldn't have went and did her research on Facebook and found this story going on where he was selling stuff off. She would have never known. And he kept telling her all this stuff. So make sure that this doesn't happen to you. So it's more of an awareness. So before we end the show, and I always do this with everyone, give us a few tips for those who were thinking about getting into pallets that's never done it before. What are a few tips that you would give them before getting into that journey?
Tips. I don't know. I think we said all the tips in since we've been talking. But the first tip I will talk about is make sure you have the space for the pallets where you're going to put it, because you don't want to be overwhelmed when you get it and you don't know where you're going to put the items. So the first tip is make sure you have a good space. If you have a garage and you can make use of it, put your car out and put the items in the garage. So that will be the first tip, is your location. Some people say, why don't you go put it in a storage? Well, you're going to have to think about the storage. Even those with air condition, you don't know what's coming in from other people's that will get into your storage units. And that's why I don't use storage units. So that will be my tip number one, where you're going to put the pallets. My tip number two, just have fun selling. Have fun selling. And tip number three, you're going to be up all night. It's not an easy job, but it's a fun job. If you like selling, like retailing, yeah, you will enjoy it.
And my tips are, start small. Don't try to overdo it at the beginning. Make sure you don't take a room in your house to where you have to sleep on the crates or boxes that you buy. But make sure you have avenues of how you're going to ship these and how you're going to sell them.
Yes.
But again, do your homework when you're thinking about getting into these different companies. Remember, there are others that you can always reach out to and say, look, have you heard about this company? Ella's, I'm sure, going to email her, ask her. I'm sure she can tell you if she's dealt with them before, if they're good or not. So you want to make sure you communicate in a community of those who are also doing these type of companies as well, because you're not alone. It's out there. It's a lot of videos out there.
Yeah, liquidation.com. If you're buying online, there's direct liquidation, there's via trading, those places you can go on, but don't forget, read the small print. There is fees added on top, because if they tell you, oh, this is just a shipping, no, there is 11% charge on the people trying to get all your stuff together. So there's always fees on these things. So when you go on sites like liquidation.com and all those, just look out for the prints and look out for the fees, the hidden fees. If they tell you this is how much of the pallet could be so cheap, but then the shipping costs could be the thing that kills it for you, and all the hidden fees. So make sure you read it.
And that all becomes within your cost of goods. So are you going to make enough money to take care of that? Are you going to better make a profit to keep doing it? Yes. Robin says it's too late. Boxes are everywhere. Are you sleeping on top of your boxes already, girl?
And she's got a big house, and she's probably sleeping on all the stuff she got.
Also, don't forget, Ella does go live at 1 o'clock every Thursday. And I believe I heard you say you got 3 guests today.
I got 3 guests today. I have Timeless Juice by Deborah. I have Double the Chick. And for the first time on my show, I've been trying to get this lady on my show for the longest. Dragon, I think it's Dragonfly Susie. I have her on as well as my guest. So it's gonna be. She
made her first appearance with me last week.
I saw her on your show. Yeah. I've been wanting her to get on for the longest, but yeah, she was able to do it now. So cool.
And also, here's the link for the doghouse today at 9:30. Let's go ahead and raid Dawn and Susie Woozy where they go live from the doghouse. But also, don't forget, every Friday I do the Would You Buy It or Would You Leave It? And if anybody has any sales that you have made for the week and you would like to be part of that, just send me a link with the item that's sold. Or if you don't know how to send the link, send a screenshot from that platform you sold it on, and I'll be glad to find it, because I know I will. And then I can share it, and then email it. Make sure you let me know how much you paid for it, where did you purchase it, and maybe how long it took to sell. And that'll be part of our every Friday where we do Would You Buy It or Would You Leave It? And then every Tuesday and Thursday, we are going to be doing these type of shows where it's going to be talking about a particular topic when it comes to reselling. Instead of your traditional thrift shops, garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, or anything like that in thrift shops. So if you know of anybody who has something that you're interested in, please make sure to let them know to reach out to me. I'll be glad to get them on the schedule for either a Tuesday or a Thursday. And I like to do this every Tuesday and Thursday if possible. So far it's been a great start for this month, and I'm looking forward to doing many more to come. But also don't forget, this Sunday I will be on with Buffalo Picker on his panel this Sunday at 7:30, and then everything else is going to be from there after next week. So I will be busy next week as well. And I do want to give an announcement of my appointment from yesterday. My kidney doctor specialist I had to go see. Everything is good, he said, because of my age. But with my age of 58, all my numbers with having to do with my kidney functions are good. They're like 3 points over where it should be, but nothing to be concerned about. And I just got to go back in a year. So it was a great visit. And he said, be on the lookout. You probably have to go see a heart specialist. So anywho, or a liver specialist. So we'll see. Anywho, that was just my update for that. It was a great visit, quick visit.
Thank you.
And so, yeah. And so, as I say before I end each and every show, I will be dropping the link for y'all to come on up if you would like to come in after the show's over. We had a great conversation going on, and I didn't want to have to interrupt with everybody coming on the panel. But if anybody does want to come on up, you're more than welcome to. And the link's going to be given in the chat just now, coming up and pinned, so you can come on up after. So as I say before I end each and every show, love always, love is always free. Please be kind to one another till we meet into another chat. Have a blessed and fabulous day. And
hey, don't go. I need my heart.
You're not close enough, maybe?
I don't know. All right.
Hey,
I had to do it manually.
That was a delay, huh? All right, so y'all come back now. You hear?